Welcome, Eagles, to this very special edition of Eagle News.
Last week, our very own Tiffany Hoskins, along with camera person Destiny Watson, went out into our community to conduct interviews with several important people within our community.
Well, Dagan, we wanted to speak with leaders in our community about the importance of reading and Read Across America, which we are celebrating this week. First, I spoke with our new superintendent, Mr. Chris Meadows. Here's what he had to say. Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany Hoskins and I am here with our new superintendent, Chris Meadows. How's your job been?
It's going well, thank you. I've had some new experiences with district leadership. My previous experience was mainly with high school, so I have been able to get out and about in all of our schools and get some experience with elementary and middle. And so far it's been busy, but it's going well.
Well, that's great. I'll tell you something else though. With experience, reading is a very, very big part of getting a great education with school. I would know I'm a student, and I'm going to ask you really fast about Reading Across America. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great week. I think that it could be something that we celebrate even more frequently than just during that week, that
Yes.
we promote reading. Reading is so important.
It is.
It is important in our work, our jobs, our careers, but it's also important in our personal lives, just
Absolutely.
for pleasure or for learning about things that you might not know about. So reading is so important, and it opens up so many doors.
And speaking of opening up doors for people, what do you think about reading? Is it important for a child to read?
Absolutely. I think that is possibly one of the most important things that they can learn, is how to read. If you can
Yes.
read, you probably can do anything.
Do you like to read?
I do. I like to read what I like to read.
Yes, me too.
There are certain things that I enjoy, and I like to read that. I'm not a person that likes to just pick up everything and read. I have to have an
Yeah.
interest.
That's what I do. Some of my favorite books are The Outsiders, and it's also a movie. It's a wonderful movie, and you can have so much emotion, I feel like, towards the book. The character may not exist, but you feel like you know them. And since I'm over here spilling my guts about what I'm talking about with the books, what are some of your favorite books?
My favorite types of books are mysteries.
Mysteries, yes,
Books
absolutely.
that make you want to turn the page and see what happens next. I have two favorite authors, James Patterson
That's
and
nice.
Harlan Coben, and they both write mysteries, and I enjoy both of those. They have certain characters as well that show up in several of their books.
Yes.
For example, James Patterson has a character, Alex Cross, and he's kind of like a detective, lives in the Washington, D.C. area, so I make sure that I try to read all of his books that involve that character.
Wow, that's really cool. I always look for that too, with another character that's always coming up. I like the series books too. I remember how I would used to read all of these Junie B. Jones books whenever I was probably really little. But my parents would read that to me, and I just remember that. It's so great. Thank you for your time. All right.
That was great, Tiffany. It was interesting to hear how much he values reading and what he likes to read in his free time.
Absolutely, Dagan. Up next, I was able to speak with the Magoffin County Librarian, Melanie Cain. Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany Hoskins, and I am here with our Magoffin County Librarian, Melanie Cain. And I am so glad to be here. It's an honor to be here with all these books, and then her. It's so great. I love to read. And speaking of reading, what are your thoughts on Read Across America?
Well, we love Read Across America. And what we see here at the public library is, I've been here since 2008, and so during the month of March, with the schools, our local schools, participating with Read Across America, we always see an increase in our younger patrons, like 12 and under.
Wow.
So, which is great, and parents bringing them in. And I think it's all due to what the schools will host for Read Across America.
Yes. And speaking of parents and then children and then of course reading, what are some ways that a parent could help their child read?
Well, just introducing them. You know, I know that children are exposed to books at your school library and just in the classrooms. But the library is something that's, our hours are extended beyond the school hours.
Yes.
So parents can come in, and if they are readers, you know, if they have a library card, they'll bring most of those parents will already have their children bring them in and get them a library card and introduce them to what we have to offer. But when the parents that do not come regular to the library, then with Read Across America, these kids will want, they want to come to the library.
Yes.
And sign up for a library card, which entails their parents get a library card in order for the children to. So we gain 2 readers, or a family of readers.
Yes.
And so parents will then participate in reading with their children.
That's so great. I think that it is very important for a parent to read to their child.
Yes.
Because reading is so important to a child. And with reading and then the library cards, how can you get a library card?
You just need to come into the library and fill out an application, and your parent or guardian, grandparent, you just have to have an adult if you're 16 and under.
Yes.
To apply for a library card. And then once you have a library card, it's a lifetime card. So we have a lot of people that come into the new library and they want to know if their old library card is still good, and it is. So as long as you have a library card, you're welcome. You're welcome to come anytime with or without a library card, but it never expires, and you're able to check out any books that you would like.
Kids love to read. Everyone loves to read, I think. Deep down inside, we all are readers. I know that I try to get as much information from books as I can. With all the knowledge, there is so much knowledge and emotion that is in books. And with books, and speaking of books, since we're on the subject, what is your favorite genre in books?
Well, I have several. It's hard for me to just pick one because I can say that after becoming an employee at the library and as a director of the library, I've been introduced to several different authors and different genres that I probably would have not read. But when you get to know your patrons and
Yes.
they're like, oh, this book is great, you need to read this or try this. And so I can't say that I just have, I still go back to mystery. I like a good mystery, but they're all, there's good in all of them. So
Yes.
but you do have patrons that will only read a certain genre. And that's,
Yes. I think that a whole lot of people, everyone should open up their eyes and take a look at all books and all things that are inside of books. The emotions that you feel towards characters. Have you ever gotten attached to a character?
Yes. And you, when the book ends, you're not wanting it to end. You're wanting
Yes.
to, you want that to continue, and you'll find yourself on some books. That's what I always tell young children, that they'll be like, oh, I don't like books, or my sister likes to read, or my brother likes to read, but I don't like to read. But that's mainly because you've not found
The right book for
and
you.
the book for you. So once you find that book, you keep, everybody likes a good easy book. We call this section here our easy book section.
Yes.
So which is like picture books, but then they have a good story in them. But we all have a memory of an easy book.
Yes.
That stays with us throughout our life. So I think the more you read, the more you explore in books, you will eventually find something that you like, and then it'll lead you to your next book.
Well, I know that books are so great. Like, I'm looking around here and I'm seeing A Bad Case of the Stripes.
Yes.
I used to read that back whenever I was in kindergarten. I loved that. I still love the book. Like you were saying, you find a book and it just stays with you. And do you have a special message for anyone about the library?
Yeah, we just would like for, if you've not made it in, I know the last couple years it's been rough on all of us.
Yes, it has.
A lot of people, we continued our service, but we weren't able to have our indoor or in-house reading programs. We are starting that back up, so hopefully this summer we'll have our summer reading program.
Great.
We've been doing things just virtual and trying to get supplies out, but last week we started our story hour back, and so that's for ages 0 to 5, and Olivia, she heads that up. So if you're interested in that, just give us a call at the library and follow us on our Facebook page, and you can call and ask any questions, but we just encourage everyone to come in of all ages, and we have a young adult teen area downstairs.
Wonderful.
So.
Well, I guess that's all we have to say. It's been a great pleasure to meet you and talk to you about books. I'm such a huge fan of books, and I am a huge fan of this library now. I finally have gotten to come here. I think I'll be coming back a whole lot more often. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us, and we're glad to, that you called and offered us this opportunity. So.
Sounds like our library has a lot to offer to our community, and it looks like a really fun place for kids to enjoy the fun of reading.
That was my first time visiting the library myself, Dagan, and I have to say I was very impressed, and I will definitely be going back soon.
For her next interview, Tiffany was able to interview Dr. Tasha Russell. Let's see how that went.
Hello everyone, I'm Tiffany Hoskins, and I am back again with a new guest. We've got Dr. Tasha Russell here. It's an honor to be here. Let's go ahead and get started with this interview. Okay, Mrs. Russell, what are your thoughts on Read Across America?
I love Read Across America Week. I think it's so important for us to talk about the benefits of reading with kids. We should read every single day.
That is so true. I think that kids should read a whole lot. Everyone should, no matter your age. And speaking of age, should kids read a lot too?
Absolutely. We have lots and lots of information about the benefits of reading for kids. Did you know that kids who read every day make better grades? They have better imaginations, better vocabulary, and even sleep better.
Yeah. I know that my parents always read to my sister. They used to read to me too. And with kids, and it's Read Across America Week, it's going to be very soon. But reading should be celebrated every day.
Absolutely.
And I've got a question, speaking of books. What's your favorite author? Who is it?
You know, my favorite author is Stephen King. I love thrillers and horror stories. He's my favorite author to read. He has great character development, and it's so easy at the end of a long, hard day to sit back and just get lost in a good book.
That is so true. I love to get attached to the story and to the characters. I've been talking about this throughout each and every interview. It is so important to just get to know the characters.
Yes.
Because you can really relate to some of them.
Yes.
You can relate to every one of them. And this is my last question for you. Since you like books, where did you find your love for books?
As a child, my mother read to me pretty often, and so I think I turned that time, reading together with my mom into something that I do now for myself and even with my kids. My kids know every night, whenever I'm ready for bed, that's my way to wind down, is to read a good book.
Well, that is so great. I love to read. I try to read as soon as I get back from school, whether that's reading the Bible or just reading a story to my sister or to myself. It's so great.
It is. It's wonderful.
It is. Well, thank you for your time.
You're
This has
welcome.
been great interviewing you. It was wonderful to see just how much importance Dr. Russell places on reading and learning the value of reading from a medical perspective.
Lastly, Tiffany was able to steal a few minutes from our wonderful mayor, Pete Shepard's busy schedule to get his thoughts on Read Across America Week in reading.
Hello everyone, I'm Tiffany Hoskins and I am so glad to be here. I am with our mayor, Pete Shepard. We're going to talk about Read Across America because as you all know, Read Across America Week is next week and we are so glad to be here. I know I am so glad to be here with him. He's such a great person. I have a few questions for you, if that's all right.
Well, that's fine.
Does having this job as a mayor require reading?
Yes.
A lot of it.
A lot of it.
And with Read Across America, as I was just talking about, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. You know, I've always said if you can read, you can do anything. So I think that's the most important part of the education, is to be able to read.
Yes, me too, because reading has so many great things, the knowledge, the information that you receive from it. It's so great. And I have another question for you. How many books should a kid read per day?
Per day? Well, in this day and time, they don't want to read any, hardly, with the games and everything. I know when I was young, I'd try to read a book a day or every 2 days.
Yeah.
I would get the hardbacks. We used to go to the library once a week when I was in school and get a book, and I'd try to make sure I read it, but it was like, 100 or 150 pages long. So.
Yeah.
But, if the short books, I think 1 or 2 a day. I mean, 1 or 2 every 2 days would be fine.
Yes, because kids really do need to start reading
They
more
need to start
often.
reading early and often, yes.
Well, with all of the talk about how you would read, did you like to read when you were a child?
Oh, yeah, I love to read. I love to read, especially books on World War II, Civil War books like that.
Yes,
and,
historical books are very interesting. What are some things that a child could do to help others with reading in the community?
I think if they'd just get together and read more, instead of just by themselves, or find an interesting subject they like. I know they all like these games boxes and all that stuff. They could get books on that and read about how to beat the monster or whatever they do. There's other ways than just finding it on a computer and cheating a little bit to beat them. They should have to read to learn how to do it.
Absolutely. You've got to crawl before you can walk.
That's exactly right.
You got to know how to do things, and by doing that, we need to read, I think.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the questions that I have. Thank you for your time. It has been a great time just talking to you about this.
Okay, well, appreciate you thinking of me and interviewing me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Especially when it's my kinfolk doing it. So.
Yeah. Mr. Pete Shepard was such an honor to interview. He had some really great ideas on how to get more kids interested in reading.
Those were some really great interviews, Tiffany. I hope the kids watching this realize the importance of reading and will listen to some of the advice that was offered by these wonderful leaders of our community.
That's absolutely right, Dagan. We want to thank Mr. Meadows, Mrs. Cain, Dr. Russell, and Mr. Shepard for allowing us the time to talk with them and for all the great information they gave to us. We want to leave you with this one final thought. Always remember,
Today a reader,
tomorrow a leader. Eagle Pride School-wide.